Hi everyone. So I am doing a end of the month wrap up where I am talking about the books that I gave 4 more stars to. So this one here I gave 4.5 stars. This is Lucky Hit by Anna Cowan. So this is part of the Swift Hat Trick trilogy. This is book 1. You have to read these books in order. You have to read these books in order. It goes by storyline. So it's a continuous storyline. So if you miss like a book, you're going to miss like all the extra stuff. So this one here is considered new adult. And I know I don't like new adult, but this one here I actually really liked. So this is a hockey romance. So like I said, I gave this one 4.5 stars. So the characters are Octavia, Ava, and Oakley. So he told her at the beginning of the story to call him Lee. So Ava finds out her butthole boyfriend was getting a Hummer by another female at a party, and she decides to cry her feelings outside. So Oakley has reached the end of playing with his hometown hockey league. This takes place in Canada, so he will be heading to Vancouver to play for another team and hopefully get scouted into the NHL. He notices Ava outside of the house party and they talk for hours. So once Oakley is in Vancouver for a few months, he runs into Ava and they start up a relationship. I said, I really enjoyed this book. I'm not a huge fan of new adult romances anymore, but this author's writing kept me going. And the characters weren't immature. I said, I loved how protective and caring he was of his mom and sister Gracie. His father died a few years ago, so it's been difficult without his father there for guidance and support. I said, Ava, I felt for because she was abandoned by her biological mother as a baby and grew up in foster care until the age of 15. And then a family adopted her. So she has abandonment issues, but it wasn't a huge factor in this book, which I appreciated from the author. It was highlighted, but it wasn't played out constantly. The only things that bugged me a little by the story was the fact that it took Ava a while to figure out that her friend Adam, he's on the same hockey team as Oakley, had romantic feelings for her. I said also the story was slower paced and slow burn, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I will accept that over a quick hookup. I said, but other than that, I enjoyed this story and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the books in the series. Now, the thing that I liked about this book was I felt that all the characters were very mature. This is the thing that always irritates me about new adult books is the characters are very immature. Like if I'm comparing this book here, Lucky Hit, to say the book I DNF'd recently, which was the the ice skater and the figure skater. If I want to compare those, the writing in here way better than that other author's writing. The characters, these were very mature characters. You know, they were not like idiots where they did stupid crap. Obviously, they went to parties and they did parties and things like that, but they weren't completely irresponsible, you know? Where the characters that I didn't like in the other book were very irresponsible, and I didn't care for them. So this one here, I really appreciated, and I also like the fact that Oakley was very mature, and he was basically the man of the house, because his father died a few years ago, and so to me it's like that shows good parenting, that he had good parents when he was growing up, and so it made him very mature. And so when his father passed away, he kind of felt like, oh, I have to take care of my mom, I got to take care of my sister. So it made him very protective of his mother and his sister. So so when he goes and he befriends Ava, it's like this instant connection that they have with each other. And then it goes from them being friends, and he's pursuing her. He wants her to know that he's attracted to her. He wants to date and everything, and it moved on from there. It wasn't like quick hookups like that other book. It was like that other couple was hooking up, and it's like, you barely know each other, come on. Where this here, it's like they got to know each other as friends and moved from there. I think it was around the think it was around maybe like the 50 or 60% mark of Lucky Hit, where he actually kissed her, you know, like he actually kissed her, and then they kind of like moved on a little bit from there. And I'm like, you know what? I like that. I would prefer slow burn over the hookup. I don't like hookup books. If that's what you're into, you know, enjoy that, boo-boo. But for me, no, I don't like that stuff. I'm older. I'm more mature. I don't like that quick hookup stuff. It's not my thing. I want to see a romance. I want to see this couple grow and mature together and work out their differences. This here was like, the conflict was he loved her, wanted to be with her, but he wasn't sure if she would be willing to travel with him, to go with him to the US. Because essentially, like, if he got traded into the NHL, he'd be moving to the US because he's a Canadian citizen. So he wasn't sure if she would be willing to do that, you know? And he doesn't want her to, like, you know, follow him around and feel like she's not doing like the things that she wants to do for her life. For Ava, I liked her. I felt really bad for her, for the sense that she was abandoned by her mother when she was little, you know, when she was like a toddler, and grew up in the foster care system until she was about 15. Now, a lot of children that end up in the foster care system, a lot of them do have abandonment issues because, you know, they're wondering why did my parent did not want me? What's wrong with me? And then you also have that where a lot of times foster care, you get switched from like home to home, which I fucking hate. I hate that system. Why switch a child out of that home if they're doing good in that home? Leave them there. You know, if they're happy in that home and the foster parents are taking care of them, why do you have them move out of that home? Now they're like, well, you know, they have no sense of like home, of like feeling like they can stay there, you know, and be comfortable. They're always going to be like, when am I going to get shipped off to another foster care, you know, or another foster home? So it's like, of course, you know, Ava, she's going to have like abandonment issues. Why didn't her mom want her? Her mother was a drug addict. And to me, I'm like, in a sense, I almost would say, make drugs legal. Make all the drugs legal in this country. That's how you solve the drug issue. You make all the drugs legal, but someone has to classify themselves as a drug addict. That's your license. You're a drug addict. So if jobs choose not to hire you, that is on you, you know? And you can legally get drugs. You can go to a facility to get drugs, not like it is in fucking San Francisco where they just give you needles and let you fucking do it on the street. So for me, I'm like, no, you go into a facility, because there's stuff that happens in Europe that I'm like, I agree to that. You go into a facility, you get your drug, you get your high there, you know, and then you leave the facility. But also they have areas where you can go and get clean. You know, you can go into rehab and get clean. And they'll help you with that and help you, you know, establish a job. That's what people need to be doing, you know. And then also, if you decide to be a drug user for the rest of your life, you get fixed. No babies for you. You do not have children. If you decide to go and make yourself a drug addict and that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, fine, I don't care if it's your body. But you should not be allowed to have children, because then you can abandon them, or you go and you have them in your home and you neglect them. No. I know a woman that works at the same job as my husband, and she's taking care of her grandchild. Why? Because her son's a drug addict. Can't get his shit together, and the girlfriend that the dude knocked up is a drug addict. They're both drug addicts. Can't take care of the kid. The kid was born addicted to drugs. Will forever have problems for the rest of his life because his parents couldn't stop doing drugs while the baby was in the womb. So that's why I said, you can solve the drug issue, make it legal, make it to where, okay, you now have a license to do drugs, but this is going to have limitations, and then you have to get fixed. You can't have children. So it may sound harsh. People may not like that, but that's how I think you solve the drug crisis in this country, is that. So for me, I felt bad for Ava because she was a child of a drug addict that couldn't get her shit together, and the mother finally started getting her stuff together. But there's things that happened in the story that I was like, the mother's a piece of crap. The mother is a piece of crap. Just because you can have children doesn't mean you should. So for me, I felt bad for Ava because she dealt with a lot with her mother, her mom like coming back into her life and stuff like that. That happened in the story. And then there's complications that happen with that. But I really liked her, Ava's adoptive parents. They were very good with her, and they even like let her know like, hey, look, if you want to have a relationship with your mom, we understand, but always know we are there for you. We are here for you if you need us. And I really liked that. I really liked that they were protective of Ava. They knew what it was like for her growing up in the foster care system. So I really appreciated the family element in this. I really appreciated that. And it showed that just because someone's blood doesn't mean they're your family. Your family is who you decide to be with, be around, that treats you with respect, doesn't use you, doesn't abuse you. Those are your family. Doesn't have to be blood. So I really liked this one. I thought it was really good. I actually probably would get a physical copy of that because I read that on Kindle Unlimited. And so yeah, I definitely would get a copy of that because I really did like that one. So the next one is Between Periods. That one is the 1.5 book, and this one here is a novella. So like I said, you got to read the first one first, and then you can delve into the 1.5. This one here I gave 4 stars. So this is basically a continuation with Ava and Oakley. They now are established as a couple, and he's now an NHL player. And so she's studying to be basically a social worker. She's studying to work in social work, to help out like other kids that, are foster care kids and stuff like that. So I like that. She wanted to get into that type of field. So they're in Mexico. They're all down in Mexico, having a vacation before Oakley has to get back up to Seattle, because him and Ava end up moving in together in Seattle. And so he's got to go back up there so he can train for the spring hockey season. And so they have their little little storyline in here of like them enjoying each other and enjoying their vacation. And then you also have the characters of Tyler. Now, Tyler was in the first book, and Tyler is definitely, he has a lot of issues. He has family issues. He grew up with a mother that was a drug addict, and his stepfather was an abusive piece of crap. So Tyler's very aloof, very, standoffish. He doesn't want to get emotionally involved with women. I mean, I could understand where he's coming from. And Gracie, who is Oakley's sister, in the first book, she was 16, and here she's 18, and she wants Tyler. She wants to get with him. So Tyler's been kind of holding her off, like he's attracted to her, but he's kind of like been trying to give her the cold shoulder and not really, hang out with her and stuff like that, because he knows, one, she's Oakley's sister, so he doesn't want to get involved with his best friend's sister, but also, she was underage at the time, so now she's 18, so things happen in Mexico, and they kind of like hook up, and you know, it's for him, it's like it kind of scared him, and he like was like pushing her away, where he's like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I understand where he's coming from, because, you know, he's had a bad home life, you know, so it makes someone a little bit emotionally and mentally stunted. So, and then also Adam was in this book. Now, the other thing I liked about the first book is that Adam could have been a total dick to Ava, because they were friends. And to me, I was like, Ava, how do you not realize that Adam likes you? He wants to at least get in your panties, you know? But he definitely cares, you know? He definitely cares for you. But I liked the conversation that Ava and Adam had in the first book, to where it had it to where they can continue their friendship, you know? And so I liked that. And so Adam in here... Adam is very much the comic relief in this book, because he is, you know, obviously friends with Tyler, and he notices different things about the way Tyler keeps looking at Gracie and the way Gracie looks at, you know, Tyler. He's very perceptive. I'd say Adam's very perceptive, because he picks up on it, you know, and so he's kind of telling Tyler, like, Tyler, you gotta watch out, man. Oakley will kick your ass, you know? And so Tyler's like, I know, you know? And so I like this little, like, you know, novella where you see a little bit more of the characters and, you know, the storyline to it. And Adam, I definitely am looking forward to, because I want to see what happens with Adam, because I do like him. I like that he was there for Ava. He didn't like push her to, like, you know, get romantically involved, especially when, you know, he saw that she was getting involved with Oakley. He's like, all right, I got to step back. And then he went, like, told her, basically, was like, my feelings for you, like, I thought they were romantic, but they're not, you know? So to me, it was like, I like that he kind of like self-reflected and looked at like his relationship with her, and it wasn't, like, obviously, there was no jealousy and all that stuff there. So I did like that, at least. Where Oakley, on the other hand, definitely had a little bit of a jealousy thing going on in the first book, where he was like, you know, what's this dude hanging out with Ava? I want to, you know, he wants to get with her. And he didn't like, you know, Adam kind of intruding. But you could see, like, they started a friendship with each other. Oakley and Adam started being friends, you know. And I guess it's maybe a little too perfect, but I kind of like that. I like that aspect. I just don't always like drama, constant drama or fighting and things like that with characters. So I like that she still had a good relationship with Adam, and Oakley and Adam end up becoming friends and, you know, not fighting on the ice and all that stuff, especially when they're part of the same freaking team, you know. But Tyler definitely has some issues. Right now, I'm currently reading the second book in the series. I wasn't able to finish it up to talk about it in this video, so you'll probably hear about it in my mid-month wrap-up for April. So that's it for that one there. But I did like it, and I definitely want to read Adam's story, which will be the third book in the series. But so far, I'm really liking this series. So the next book I ended up reading, this was a part of the Castles Ever After series, which I thought was kind of weird, because Pierce Brandon is in here. Now, Pierce Brandon, he's brothers with Rafe Brandon, who was a part of the other series, I think. I'm pretty sure it was the other series. Yeah. Or no, it's the same series. What am I talking about? It's the same series. So we got the Castles Ever After series. I was thinking Rafe Brandon was part of the Spindle Cove series, but no, he's a part of the Castles Ever After series. So this one here is the fourth book, I think. I'm pretty sure this is the fourth book. Is this the fourth book? No, it says this is the fifth book. No, it's Spindle Cove 5. That's what it is. Why they... Oh, that's so confusing. This is Castles Ever After 4. Huh. Weird. So this is the fourth book in the series. Now, this one here has Charlotte Highwood, which Charlotte is a part of the Highwoods that were in Spindle Cove. So that's why there's a connection to Spindle Cove in here, because this is the youngest sister, to where the other sisters in the Spindle Cove series, they had gotten guys already. So now this is the last one who, you know, got married. So Charlotte is kind of like an amateur sleuth. She likes to investigate different things. She's very, you know, obviously very, you know, smart and stuff like that. And so she does not want her meddling mother to decide who to marry and all that stuff. So she tries to warn Pierce Brandon. And unfortunately, things go a little awry. And they end up getting discovered by what I call the little shit in this book. There's this little boy in this book who is the child of the family that they're staying in. You know how people stay in like different houses and stuff like that. Right now, they're vacationing at this house with this family. And the youngest child is this little meddling, snoopy, irritating little child. You know, I like kids, but I want to be able to be around different kids. And when you have like an annoying little child that, you know, is not getting corrected by their parents, you want to be like, I'm going to correct that kid. I want to correct them. You know, you want to correct them yourself, but you're like, but it's not my kid. I can't, you know, can't, even though I want to. I want to correct that little shit, but you don't. So this here, this little fucker, it constantly is like going after Pierce, and he's like, you want to commit murder, you want to commit murder, and it's like, shut up. The kid was so annoying in the audiobook. I was just like, why did the author put this annoying little child, this little crotch goblin, in this book? I don't know why, because he was annoying as fuck. So Pierce Brandon is essentially a spy master. He's like a spy for the government and all that stuff. And so he's trying to figure out this particular case that he has. And so now he's like, well, now that him and Charlotte got discovered by that little shit, and all these other people show up to the room, now Pierce is like, well, I'll ask for her hand, we'll get engaged and all that stuff. And then it kind of quickly moves fast to where my children trying to give me food. So Pierce very quickly was like, yep, I'll marry her. And I'm like, dude, has it because you've been away for so long and, you know, haven't been with a woman for a while that's made you kind of like, you know, you want to get with her? So it's kind of like a bit of like a detective thing where it's like they're kind of figuring out, there was like this couple that were like having sex in the room, and him and Charlotte were hiding behind the curtain. And so now they're trying to figure out, well, who were the couple having sex with, you know, in the room and all that stuff. And then he's trying to figure out his case. So it's kind of like them trying to figure it out together. And in, you know, in between, they start, you know, like doing the kissy and all this other stuff, you know, all these little things. And he quickly is like ready to get in her panties. And I'm kind of like, dude, slow down. You know, slow down. So there was like, you know, there was some steamy scenes in this one right here that were not in like some of the other ones. There was a lot more steam in here. And there were things that kind of irritated me about her sometimes. Like, let me read. There was a couple of things. Sometimes she was a little bit too like inquisitive, or, you know, things that kind of annoyed me about her a little bit. Yeah, it was too insta-lust, and that's the thing that kind of like, yeah, I also felt that both of them were really stubborn. I felt both of the characters were really stubborn, and it was a little too insta-lust for me. But I still enjoyed it. I still ended up giving it 4 stars. But yeah, the insta-lust thing, I was kind of like, whoa, hold on. Why is this so quick? You know, sometimes it's too fast. And I'm like, slow down, slow your roll. And then other times it's like, are you ever going to get together? Like, I want a good medium. I am like Goldilocks, where my porridge has to be just right. You know, That's just how it goes. That's how it is with these romances. So this one here, still gave it 4 stars, still enjoyable. But that annoying little shit, oh, I wanted to go and hang him up by his underwear and be like, stay there, kid. Shut up. Oh, the kid was so annoying. I really did not like the kid. That kid was so annoying. And it was the parents that, you know, the little kid was, you know. Oh, that kid annoyed me. That kid annoyed me. I was like, will you get him out of here? God, this kid's annoying. So, and I like kids, but I don't like the annoying ones that are constantly whining, you know? Because then it's like, will you shut up? You know, stop being a whiner. You know, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up with my grandmother, and, you know, my grandmother for years is like, you know, she'd be kind of harsh a little bit. So I got maybe a little bit of my harshness. I don't constantly want to baby kids and be like, you know, oh, I'm like, no, grow up. You know, grow up. So, the next book, this is Castles Ever After 3, but I read this one after the other one. So this one here, I give it 4 stars. So we got Madeline, Maddie, and Logan Mackenzie. So this one here is Maddie invented this fiance named Logan Mackenzie. Captain Logan Mackenzie. And, you know, she said that he was in the war, and she invented him when she was about 16. She mainly did it so she could avoid going to balls to find a husband. She has extreme anxiety about crowds, and she's definitely more introverted and shy. So it's hard for her to kind of converse with like strangers and other people. 10 years go by, and a man comes to her castle to tell her that he is her long-lost love back from the war. Now, Logan Mackenzie knows that Maddie has been lying all these years, and he blackmails her into agreeing to marry him. Otherwise, he will hand her letters over to the scandal rags and publicly shame her. He wants the castle grounds she owns, so him and his men have a place to call home. So I said, I did enjoy this book. The only thing that frustrated me from time to time was Maddie. I said sometimes she could be downright snooty to Logan, and other times really stubborn. I said I felt bad about her social anxiety. I could understand why she wanted to be alone. Now, Maddie had developed this skill where she essentially was an illustrator, where she, you know, what she would call herself a, what's it called again? Like, it kept like, she kept like saying, that's not the term, this is the term. It's not, it's a naturist. That's what it was. She considers herself a naturist. She likes, I guess you'd say maybe more of like a marine biologist kind of thing, where you're studying sea life and other life forms, you know, other animals and things like that, creatures. So she has these lobsters that are like essentially like in this, you know, in this tank. And so she wants to study their mating habits. So that way she can draw it and illustrate it and all that stuff. And then she can go and sell her illustrations off to, you know, to be sold, and she can get, you know, obviously have a job. Well, she gets this opportunity to basically illustrate for like a dictionary or something like that. I think it's like a dictionary or something within that thing. And she would obviously get, you know, a good amount of money and all that stuff. Since she already has the castle, she's like, hey, I got a home, you know, I just need you know, obviously stuff to live on and all that stuff, and she'd be fine. She don't need a man. So when Logan Mackenzie shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm your husband, and then he gets her alone, and he's like, hey, I know you're faking it. You've been sending me these letters all these years. She can't believe this person's real. You know, and he's like, you should have picked a harder name, because Logan Mackenzie's kind of like not a really, you know, a thing when it comes to like, you know, being in Scotland. So it's kind of like more of a, they don't really like each other at first, and then the more they're around each other, the more they like each other. And there were times I did feel that Maddie was a bit snooty. And I was like, girl, stop being so stuck up, you know? This guy here obviously went through the war, you know, and the one I felt bad for was there was this character in the movie, or not movie, in the story, in the book, that he was one of those people where he ended up getting injured in his brain, and it made it to where he only remembers for like an hour, and then it's like his brain kind of goes back to zero again, and then he kind of has to keep asking people, well, who's this person? He remembers his children, that he had his children, and he remembers his mother. And when they tell him, you know, different things, he goes back and, you know, goes for an hour, and he kind of repeats himself. So he's got essentially short-term memory loss. So it's like, poor guy. Poor guy. Even today, like, people will have short-term memory loss. I don't think there's really, I don't know if there's any kind of therapies today, like, that they can do, because that's the thing about the brain. We are still trying to figure out the brain and all the functions and all that stuff. We only know very little of the brain. We're still trying to discover more about our brain and how it functions and different things like that. So it's really fascinating how, like, brain injuries work. And sometimes, like, you can get a brain injury where it totally changes your personality around. That happened to some people. Like, professional athletes have gotten that. There was somebody who had gotten that before, where they were just a completely different person, and they end up, I think it was the person ended up becoming homeless because they just couldn't function after that. And it's like, it's sad. It is really sad when you hear about different stories of, like, brain injuries and changing people around and stuff. So I felt really sad for the one character in here because he had that short-term memory loss. But there were times that I was a little frustrated with Logan too, you know, with both of them, you know. But I still enjoyed it. I still gave it 4 stars. Still was an enjoyable story. And I'm just kind of glad that I'm finished off with, like, all the Tessa Dare books. So now I can move on to something else. So I tried reading another author. Unfortunately, I realized that author wasn't for me. And I ended up DNFing, like, at least 3 of her books. And I just realized, you know what? It's probably the writing. I don't like her. I don't know why. I just don't. I couldn't get into the audiobooks. I just kept, like, zoning out and just was like, nope, I'm done. And so I decided to go into another audiobook. So right now I'm currently listening to an anthology. So I'll probably talk about that in April once I finish that. But that's pretty much it, what I've read so far. You know, is there a book recently that you read that you really liked that you would like to recommend to me? Let me know down below in the description, in the comments. But yeah, that's it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. Be safe out there, you know. Be kind to each other. And I will see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.